What's up, folks? And we're back here for episode 8 of Bel-Air. In this episode, got some things to talk about.
Yeah.
This episode is titled "No One Wins When a Family Feud." Yeah, you've heard that song before.
Yeah.
But as always, Nigerian adversary, we're here to on duty on the ones and twos of the duties tonight for the review of tonight's episode. I don't even know where I even want to start with the review tonight because there's so much to talk about. But I guess I'm gonna really go at the very, very basic surface level question: are you Team Viv or are you Team Vi?
I don't know. I can't I guess especially because of the way they ended it. I can't I guess team both. I don't have a preference either way. You know what I mean? I love both the characters. I love both points of view. I love how each of them expressed it. The scene, the birthday party scene to me was powerful. I knew it was coming. They set it up to where you knew it was coming. But the way Viv broke out mid-sentence from the quiet tone to I'm not trying, and it just popped off from there. But I love how they did that. And then I love how Carlton, you know what I'm saying, that's my guy. Carlton came with the words of wisdom and got her to, see where she was wrong. When she was, she does this, she took care of mom too. And she had that moment of clarity. So I thought that was beautiful. And then she was able to humble herself and go speak to her sister, and they was able to square it away. So I'm team both.
All right. Folks, jump in the comments, let us know who team are you on, Team Vi or Team Viv. It was a very heated episode between the two of them, but there was some resolve, and I love to see it. To see it. But in terms of everything in this episode, folks, this was Will's 17th birthday. And with that, his mom comes in on a G1 private flight, being brought in for his birthday to help celebrate. Of course, his mom has to be there. But beyond the celebration, there's a little bit of moment of clarity here, because now with him becoming a man in the eyes of his mother, so she can claim that no matter whatever his age is, she says, I think I need to start to tell him something that's truly important to him, and that is his dad. Now, folks, let's go back to season 4 of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when we had one of the most iconic moments of all time on all of sitcoms, so we say, yet alone just this series. But this was obviously the whole moment between Will Smith and James Avery with the hug and, you're not my father and why don't you love me? Oh, the whole everything. It was deep. It's literally to be honest, to go off the limb here, I think this scene alone is the reason they had to cast the way they did for the show. There's no way you don't even want to drive near this. You don't want to even feel like we're going to ever get to this point. They do not recreate this. They did a little something in the very beginning. That's the closest you go with this. You do not go near this iconic moment. You will literally have Black Twitter on fire. You don't touch this one. This is the one you don't touch. So you don't even make it look like these characters are going to go down that path. You don't even drive the plot down that path, because this literally was the moment that everybody in every household shed a tear. Yeah. But to that point, and to what this series does good, is that we know that his dad, Lou, was an absent dad and out here selling dreams. And Uncle Phil, and we're talking about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, holding his dad accountable and saying, I'm not going to let you do this. Things are about to get much more ironed out, because now we hear more about who his dad is. And that's still, this is the crazy thing. And I can't wait to toss you the question. But when they were on the pier, she said, well, your dad was kind of one of them schemers out here. He was always looking for the next quick dollar, got himself into a lot of debt, and Mom Dukes held them down. She was chasing after him. She held them down, and that's that. And to me, Will was definitely had the response all of us had, was like, well, I didn't paint you as a woman to do something like that, but it is what it is. Right. The biggest thing is, at the end of the episode, Viv and Vi agreed that they're not going to tell him about his dad what else is coming up, bro? What are you predicting that conversation is going to be? Because we already know, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air story. Now we got a little bit more about the potentials of why he's an absentee. I mean, is he ducking and dodging because he owed people money? Is it because does he have like a gambling addiction or some type of addict addiction where he just constantly needs money and it's constantly got to be on the run so that he can't be in anybody's life permanently because commitment issues and whatnot? As if that's not already bad. And then they're just like, yeah, so we're not going to tell him about his dad yet. It's coming up, bro.
So I think, like, I guess it could go two ways. You could look at him as the character they painted him to be in the original sitcom. That was just more of a absent guy, fly by night, move with the breeze kind of person. Or like you said, with the backstory, there could be something more in depth. That's a specific reason why he's not around or why he's laying low. And I would lean more toward that because that's the way it seems to me that they're painting the picture, the way they're setting it up. I thought it was very clever how Vi, when Will asked her about his dad, how she was able to just give him that kind of narrative. Well, run around, like she kind of told him the truth, but then kind of didn't, and so it came off more genuine, and he had less of a reason to believe she wasn't telling the truth. But the thing that stood out to me the most was she decides at the end, like, yeah, I'm gonna wait, we're gonna chill. As soon as she said that, I'm like, nah, but Uncle Phil already sent the hit out. You know what I mean? Like, he hit the Gotti button. Wow, like, get him. So that's in motion. But then again, with Jeffrey's being on the fence about taking care of the situation, now it's kind of like, all right, the order was sent, but doesn't get followed. And then with Will coming to him at the end on the something about my pop, it all culminates. It's all in his head, like, so I was like kind of at the edge of my seat, like, wow, what's Jeffrey about to do?
You hit some major points here. Now, again, the fact that they still want to tell him, the sisters don't want to tell him about it, speaks to me that there's definitely something much more rooted with this. And then the response to that is that, oh, he's doing good. He's making good progress. We don't want to stir him off his path, which to me, I'm thinking like, is his dad in a gang? Is he slanging drugs? And does he kind of look at the glitz and glam of like, oh, my dad's out here balling, but I got this little established, pseudo privileged life here, but like I also gonna go back there, rep Philly, back to my roots, but also have another sense of income or style or lifestyle, should I say, in that fashion. I mean, he's 17, so of course he's not going to be able to see right and wrong. All of us were young at a point where we said like all the the dudes, the rappers and whatnot on TV, we want to be them, whether it was detrimental to us or not. So I that's the kind of path I'm going. But the only reason why I'm not so satisfied is settled on that is because I feel like this show has not been hitting like the stereotypical tropes. Okay. And I don't think they would want to say your dad's a gangster, your dad's a drug dealer. It's like, all right, that's easy. You could have easily took that route, but they haven't been doing that. Now, the other interesting point is Uncle Phil is definitely very livid by this. Like he out here training extra hard, and he completely disrespected G.
That scene was crazy. I love the way they filmed that. Again, the writing is brilliant, and the way they film it is brilliant. That scene, you got to see the rawness of Uncle Phil. You got to see the complete other side. Like, yo, I go in. And then when he's hitting the gloves, him and Jeffrey are going back and forth, and that last punch, that last don't bow. And you see it slow down. Jeffrey's it kind of shakes it off. That whole scene, that whole motion right there was powerful. And then it was like, yo, I'm not feeling that decision. And he's like, well, that's unfortunate. You work for me. And the way he hit the punch and then turned around and walked off. And then the camera pans back to Jeffrey and he just standing there with the look on his. It was great. You know?
And I thought it did bring up a lot of the dramatics and the emotions between it, because now we see a more of a compassionate side to Jeffrey. I mean, I'm going to definitely keep rocking with the whole Jeffrey Stay Tuned tag that you gave him. But I mean, yeah, he's clearly a hitman or a hitman to hire. I mean, like he's definitely out here, getting told orders. Yeah, for sure. So the fact that he rebutted to this and said, what would you do if you was in this situation? I think about my son. What would you think about with Carlton? And he said, hey, I don't pay you for this. You work for me. So unfortunately, I mean, it's a flat out disrespectful response, but I get it, because that is what it is. But like, that's interesting, to the point that I'm surprised you didn't bring this up. I think Jeffrey was ready to resign. I think he said, this is a moral confliction to me. I'm turning in my papers.
It popped in my head. Yeah, it popped in my mind for a quick moment. I thought because he had the looks kind of set it off. So I did think that for a second, but it was like a double entendre. Like, remember, you work for me. So we probably stopped and thought about it. Well, I'm set up in this whole entire situation. If I walk off now on a whim, it's a whole network of stuff that's in place that I can't access anymore, or I'm gonna have to move completely different. It was like, even with it being a moral conflict, do I really shut down my life right now off of this feeling or this emotion? So I think what he's probably gonna do is try to figure out a way to play both sides against the middle.
Gotta be. And I think that, with the element of Will saying, hey, I want you to do this. I mean, that's the different bit of motivation that he did not expect. I mean, at this point now, yes, he's definitely at heads with Uncle Phil, because Uncle Phil's having him do something that he doesn't really want to do. And I think this may be, definitely for the show, but for the overall arc of this character, what, maybe beyond the show, this may be like displayed as one of the first times he done something unethically that he wanted to do. And whether he's saying take him out, whether he's saying, shake him up, whatever it may be, he may not want to do it. But if Will is asking, like, I just want to know where he's at and so on and whatnot, this is his bread and butter here. It's like, yeah, I can do some reconnaissance. I'll go out there and do what I got to do, come back and report it. No harm done there. And I think as a man, I think he says, like, just think what your son would want to do. So I think he looks at Will, sort of sympathizes with him, like, bro, you definitely had a wild last 48 hours beyond that, because even the cop thing, I think you are due just a little bit truth here. Because everybody's around here tiptoeing, don't want to tell you, and
nobody want to say nothing, right?
So
that's
gonna be something. But folks, you let us know, because the question right now is, should they tell Will or should they withhold it? Because as they said, him knowing could stir him off the wrong path. But I'm a firm believer is that you don't give nobody an honest chance if you're withholding the truth. How can you how can you assess a situation if you don't even give them an opportunity to do so?
Yeah, no, that's real. So, and then it's should they tell him, should they not? And then will it matter? Because if something does happen to the father or something comes from that, then it's like, does it even matter?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, did y'all forgot y'all had Jeffrey Statham in the house? Nobody's coming near that house, bro. Like, everything's good. And every single time that they've had any bit of bad attention, press or whatever it may be, they're just deflecting these things left and right. Like, Uncle Phil is set up good, to the point that I thought we were going to start this episode by talking about the fallout from the party last week. And it completely was like handle in the first 30 seconds. It was just like, I made a call, I erased it. I mean, it brought up a point you said, but like there was liability on both sides. And then thus they said, hey, I made some people say, make it go away. The commission kept it quiet. Bada boom, Carlton said, thank you. It's all worked out. There goes all of that. So, we'll see. Now, where should we go next?
Let me see. Okay, Uncle Phil. Oh, well, I guess Uncle Phil when the commissioner tells him to get his family in check, and how he kind of attempts to do that. So it's the conversation with Carlton, the conversation with Hillary, conversation with Bill. Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was real. It was like, on one hand, it's like, as men, Don't tell me about, don't tell me what to do with my family. Don't come tell me that about my family. But at the same time, I'm a public figure. I'm trying to run for this office. I'm trying to secure this victory. Da 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 da. So I do kind of have to run some damage control. So I nod my head to him in his attempt to do that. But as we've seen in the past few episodes, anytime Uncle Phil attempts to do something, it usually goes the other way. And then he got to figure it out from there. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I thought that was interesting in how they were able to make it go away because of the mutual, like, well, it'll look bad on both sides. So, you know what I mean? Because I thought from the last episode it was going to be some drama behind that, and it was like
Yeah.
you said, the first 30 seconds. All right, now that's gone next.
Yeah. Listen, I've been pretty high on this show, but there's one thing about this episode that I am a little bit fearful for the future of it. Now, to this point, Uncle Phil now also realized there's a threat in his election, and that's because if having two folks running from the Democratic Party, it ultimately can end it up whatever the political you all know. That's my point. I don't want politics being the root of all of this. Like, this is starting to get super sophisticated in a politics note. And while I get it, in the earlier episodes, now things are getting like very, very detailed. And I will be glad if this is get wrapped up next episode really quickly, where they're just like, well, the debate happened, I won, moving forward. And eventually he wins, and we kind of see wins or loses, and we just kind of see how his influence differs because of that. I just don't like this whole idea. You had to meet Lisa dad and say, we're gonna have a debate, winner takes all, bada boom, cool. But like, again, I feel like things are getting like super detailed with that. I'm just not for it. This will be the first time I'll say it. In terms of what the original sitcom did, it was very much family oriented, and it did have ramifications of the world, but it never drove down the aisle of saying we're going to make this show political heavy, to the point that you're like, I'm starting to think like, all right, well, I got a little bit of education, but damn, I gotta do some studying up as to like what these tactics they're talking about they got to do in terms of winning the seat, and like, I get the surface level stuff, but I was like, man, this to me it's starting to feel like just a little deep, but I could be nitpicking. You guys can tell me if I am. It's all good. I'm not going to be mad. But I think the next thing I want to talk about, going back to Aunt Viv and Vi, is the sisters had it for each other since the moment they got off the plane. There's a lot of history between the two. Very, at times, very shady manners, a lot of passive aggressive statements. I feel like it's all in good love, but I really love how it resolved by understanding that, Viv thought her sister was pretty much was unable to have feelings, shall I say. She's strong, she's confident, she does all the things, she fixes it all up, etc., etc. And I think that's a super duper important message. It's that, folks, check on your friends, even your strong ones, because this is an example of how much you never know somebody may be going through, and you assume just because it appears they got it all together that they do not have feelings. And this is where those disagreements and stuff come from. Go for it.
And I think it goes twofold. It's one, yes, absolutely check on your people, but I think even more so, Black women have somehow become the moniker of all powerful. Nothing stops me. No, I don't feel pain. I'm strong. I walk through anything. I will through anything. And it's like, in our experience, a lot of times, yes, our women do that because they have to, because there is no other choice. There is no other option. But I thought they did a very good job of illustrating that point and letting people know that, no, they're human. They're still, they're our women. They, you know what I mean? Like, even I was reading, I can't remember where I was reading, I saw something online, but they were saying like with like going to the doctor, there's a lot of Black women, when they go to the doctor, they report that, they're not checking on me. They're assuming stuff is good. They're not giving me the pain, my relief I need and what have you.
And I get a proper assessment and treatment.
Because it's assumed that, this, strong Black woman, she's straight.
Yeah.
So I thought they did a very good job of highlighting that and like you said, and breaking it down where you can
Yeah.
understand, like no, they do have feelings, they do go through things, they do. The fact that she was able to push everything aside speaks to that, and that's even more of a reason why you should be checking on it. Like, y'all appreciate, and I like you said how they did it, where she came back and y'all appreciated, and you were right, y'all were carrying me, and I didn't realize it, but yeah, I thought that was good.
Yeah, and I think also too the other element to this is obviously because their mother was ill, and
Yeah,
that right there alone can definitely drive divide in the family as to who assumes responsibility and how one claims to be responsible in these situations. Where we heard the whole like, oh, we sent you money, but were you there? And like, and those pent up feelings will definitely become very combustible if they're
at
not
any
discussed.
moment. Yeah.
And it was a hard, again, there's a lot of rooted feelings that a lot of these things had needed to have been expressed, and it did eventually overflow. But I love the fact that like didn't become like hostile or violent or anything. It was just like we just need to talk. And like you said, I love how Carlton stepped in to be the Will of the episode, because Will usually plays referee, which he did play referee earlier. But I would
Yeah.
love to see the maturity in Carlton throughout this episode and being able to do so. And I think that one of the biggest gems for Carlton this episode is, Vi saying like, y'all are brothers. The universe made this happen and just live with it. And you come to the realization this is what it is, and
Yeah.
find peace in it. And I think,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it in a second, but when Carlton did the most mature thing of the entire episode, shall I say, one of his
Yes.
most mature things he's done, I think it spoke through the power of the women and their influence on these young kids in here. So
Yeah. And
some good writing, bro.
absolutely. I was going to say the Carlton that we saw tonight, that was the Carlton I was talking about 3 episodes ago. I knew he was coming. I knew, you know what I mean? He just came along a little later, but I knew that was coming. You know what I mean? It had to. So I'm glad that they finally were able to illustrate that and be able to showcase Carlton as I've been on an emotional roller coaster, but at this point I'm good with everything. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go with the flow.
Yeah. Now, I think the other thing I want to say is there was a little bit of a yo-yo action going on between the sisters, because when they had the dinner and Will said, I need a side order of no, I do not need a side order of no extra energy. Yeah, I'm definitely still in that one. I thought it was interesting because they haven't both. Vi has been trying to somehow slide in the conversation about that, because that's where her mind's been. She's been kind of proactive in trying to make that happen. I thought it was funny that Aunt Viv, who was completely against it, also tried to slide him in at this point, where she was kind of like, oh, you mean and how he kind of looks like? And she said, we're not going to do that right now. So for me, this was a very tricky scene, because you would think that doesn't make sense, because that is uncharacteristic of what these two characters' stance on introducing Will to his dad has been the entire time. To me, I think, again, this was another good example of the tension between the two sisters, where they start to say, oh, forget everything else around, because you know how arguments are. Sometimes people get in arguments and they forget about the reality, or should I say, even say the space that they're currently in, to address one another. Tit for tat, argumentative, war, bombs over Baghdad, whatever it is to get the one up in a conversation. It was shady, it was passive aggressive, and that's where their mind was at, to the point where he's like, oh, nah, we're not doing this right now. This is his birthday. And I thought that was a very interesting tactic that they did at that point, that I was like, wow.
Right.
Didn't see that coming in that fashion.
Yeah, like she's gonna let that slip. Yeah. And again, the setup, like I like how they set up for every scene, because remember, right before that, when they were at the house, she was like, yeah, I'll join you if that's okay with y'all. That's all it was good. They set it up. It's like, it's about to go down.
Yeah. Let's go to his gifts. Now this is the other question.
See, and that's the same thing. Like there, I know a lot of people will probably be Team Vi, and I understand why I'm not mad. I felt, and I don't know, maybe it's just me looking for the good in everything. I felt like Aunt Viv was just being Aunt Viv. It wasn't necessarily about let me one up my sister. It's just I know my nephew loves shoes. He'll really love these shoes. Cool, roll with it. And then, like she said, I guess Uncle Phil had paid for them, so she didn't actually do the legwork to see what was what. It was just like, yo, it's a pair of shoes. But on the other end, I can absolutely see how Vi can look at that and be like, yo, just one time, let me shot, let me rock. Like, you always doing this, you doing this, you doing this. And again, like for me, it's about intention. With Viv, the intention is not to embarrass you. It's you're my family. I'm here to help you. But then I guess on the flip side, it's like you still have to be mindful of optics, even in your benevolence. Something can still be. It's the what is it? 48 laws of power. Don't outshine the master. You feel me? It's the same principle. Like, I'm rocking with you. I'm gonna show you love, but at the same time, my eyes are still. I'm still aware of everything. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I agree with everything you say besides one thing. I also feel like when Will was looking for clarification as to who took the picture, which I thought was a bizarre question. Like, I would have never thought that at all. That's a very, very, very much for the sake of the drama line in the script there. I thought that she was like, well, let's open up my gift. I thought that was super dismissive. And that's when I was just like, okay, that's a little shady right there. Like, let that moment kind of play out a little bit, you know?
But I guess assuming that it was his father, I assume that's why she did that. Then I was like, all right, that's a good save. Because it was trying to keep, it was like, yes, we spoke and we said we'd tell him, but you know, right now is not the time. So she was probably like, let me switch gears and take the focus off of it. Assuming it was his dad. I assume that's the only, you know what I mean? Otherwise, yeah, you're right. Then that was a jerk one.
Can't even. Who else could it be at this point, you know? But we'll see.
Yeah.
Man. Next episode is gonna be crazy. Now let's talk about the last thing for tonight, and that's Hillary. Okay. I'm gonna let you narrate this one. Where do we go with this whole stance with Hillary and this whole influencer house stuff?
I think. Okay, so again, I'll say there's a setup. I'm gonna call it now and say there's another setup. So they have the party. Jazz comes back. She apologizes as she should have. And then she explains the situation. Well, I'm done with it, but I gotta come with this 50 bands. And then he goes, well, you'll figure it out. You always do. So that's the setup right there. So I'm assuming that there will be some kind of plan devised that may include Jazz, and they either gonna get money and pay them, or Hillary will. Hillary will figure out some way to. She's gonna catch Kylo in something and have something to hold over his head, and it's gonna be like, you know, you look that way, I'm gonna look this way, and we're gonna. I feel like it'll be one of the two.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't think she's going towards her parents. She's staying in a hotel, she said, but that doesn't mean anything. She's loaded, so a hotel could literally be a much better place than some people's houses. So there's that.
Right.
So yeah, don't feel no sympathy because she's not in the influencer house. She's just trying to bear out time into letting her parents be aware of what's happening there. So yeah, I like your stance on that. I'm not even going to touch on it, but we'll see how she comes up with this 50K. But listen, I love how Jazz said she fine like Chloe Bailey. I was like, yep. Yep. Hey, but real talk, he's a real one. My man did get completely dismissed, and he still got her back. Look,
see, a real brother over what's understood don't need to be said, dog. A real G that he understands the game, so I'm not even mad at that. He understands the game.
That's a dub for him. Easily, that's a dub. That's a dub.
Already.
Anything else you feel like we need to discuss in this episode?
I think we going through the notes. Commission.
Make sure we get it all right, folks.
The argument, the realization with Carlton. We got everything. That was it. That was pretty much all I had.
Now listen, last thing, but folks, before we get to that last thing, definitely let us know your favorite moments of tonight's episode, some of the Easter eggs that you picked up on, because you all definitely be on it, and I'll be seeing you all in the comments, some of your favorite parts, and some of the things we might have missed. As I always frequently say, folks, here at Big Obel Media, we watch this show one time, we get it early, watch it one time, jump right on here and give you our honest and pure review and reaction of it. Clearly, I can watch this 10 times to get everything perfect, but that's not fun. We want to make sure that we're honest, very humanized review, and you can be a part of it as well. So definitely do your part, jump in the comments, and let us know your thought about the episode. Now, the last thing here is the resolve between Will and Carlton about Lisa. My man manned up 1,000 straight up, and he said that he is happy as long as she's happy. Don't mess it up. He said he has come to terms that they're over. My question to you is, what has come over Carlton? At what point did he make peace with this?
I think, well, like I said, and that's why I said it a few episodes ago, I felt like he made peace with it after that first time, that kind of first revelation. Okay. And I guess it just came along later because he needed Vi to kind of pull it out of him. When she said what she said to him at the party about the universe, I think he kind of stopped, and that put everything in perspective for him. Like, yo, you know what? You're right. So he understands Will is here. He's not going nowhere. I know he like Lisa. Like, I can't pretend. Like, I can look the other way. I can act like it's not happening, but it's still gonna happen. So I might as well just be at peace with it, come to an understanding, and keep it moving. And then remember, he got Aisha on deck. So Carlton is all good. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if she's coming back for another episode, but she on deck. So he's good.
Oh, and I gotta mention, folks, for the folks that said we didn't talk about the Carlton dance from the video and whatnot. Sorry. It's sorry. It's okay. It's the funniest part of the episode. Yeah, we get it. We're sorry. Mm-hmm. But again,
one more quick, I guess, Fresh Prince lore. Rest in peace, James Avery. Another reason he's one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
Found out the other day that he was the voice of Shredder on the original Ninja Turtles animated series. Yeah. I never knew that, bro.
I absolutely did.
That was Shredder the whole time. He was a part of my childhood before I knew he was a part of my childhood.
Yeah.
Stamp, my man.
Yeah. So I tell you what, with what this episode could be leaning towards, do not go down that path, but I would love to see them pay homage to James Avery in some miraculous way. And again, there's a big surprise coming next episode, but I would love to see them do something for James Avery, because even with them even if they don't recreate the scene, all of us are already feeling it. All of us already said. I wouldn't even be surprised now if the algorithm has that scene keying up on everybody's YouTube right now, because it just knows that that's where everybody's mind is at, is remembering the most iconic scene in all the sitcom back in the 90s. It's not even close. Not even close. Nothing on Family Matters, nothing on any of those shows. Nothing lived to this moment. And the fact that we're swimming, seem to be swimming down that lake to that ocean. Hopefully they just jump off at the land somewhere, because we don't need to touch it. Everything don't need to be touched. This is the one I'm definitely going to stand for. So, but yeah, for tonight's episode, again, folks, episode 8, no one wins when the family feuds. Jump in the comments. Let us know all of your thoughts about tonight's episode. We'll be back next week for episode 9, which is going to be crazy. And then episode 10 is the finale, which I would assume is going to be damn crazy too. So we'll see how it all plays out. But as always, thank you so much for rocking with us, and we'll see you all back next week.
Alrighty. Peace.